All right, so now I am going to transition to some changes in legislation. And what I'm really intending to do with this is to provide you with an overview of some of the things that have recently happened that may feel urgent to you and provide you with just some additional detail and time to reflect. So the new 35A assurances have been released. So this document is linked on MDE's website, and there are a couple of things I want to bring your attention to. It's linked here so that you can come back to this and look at it, reflect on it, have additional conversation, but focus in on this last bullet right here that says the early literacy coach will support all pre-K-5 teachers in the ISD and be available to support all districts in alignment with the Read by Grade 3 law. So know that the grade level has changed to include grades 4 and 5. Some of you likely have been servicing grades 4 and 5 in some capacity, but others may have not worked with those upper elementary grades before. So our intent today is to provide you with some learning on the 4-5 essentials and how they connect to K3. And then you're going to probably want to think about how this might look in some breakout room conversations and back with your ISD teams. The other pieces I wanted to bring your attention to were around the professional learning. So knowing that this whole section here includes the work we do in this network, knowing that these quarterly meetings are required meetings under the grant assurances. So we want to make them as valuable as possible. Knowing that this is going to be part of the work that you're required to do, we want to equip you with what you need to be effective. And all of those methods of feedback that were shared, the Slido, your survey at the end of this meeting, that will all be really important to us for planning meaningful content for these meetings. And then also, again, that letters training piece, that was new last year. Many people were starting the letters training. We know how important it is for us to think about the essentials and letters together. And Heather and I have had some really great conversation about her supporting this network and in future meetings with some learning around both of those working together. So that's the main points that I wanted to bring up about the new assurances. And then the hot topic I'm sure that everyone has been thinking through is the legislation for dyslexia. So the first thing I want to say is it goes into effect in 27-28 school year. So although we all feel like we have learning to do and how are we going to look at incorporating this into our current systems, I just wanted to caution everyone that there is a team working on this. MDE, MESA, GELN, we have groups that are really concentrating behind the scenes on how to make this happen in the most effective and efficient way. So I did link an email that our executive director from MAISA sent to our ISD SUPs and the statement from MAISA. I also linked MDE's dyslexia handbook, knowing that that will be a focus of future learning in this group. We spent time on this last year at our task force, and it was time very well spent. We do have MDE members on our task force. They helped us to make some connections in where this dyslexia work, how it has grown over time. And in honoring our adult learning principles, I do want to refresh you back to some of the learning you've already done on dyslexia through this network. So Annie was kind enough to go through the archives of the coaching network, and she has linked in some resources here. The first are from the ELA leadership team, and that's Mark Raffler, who provided his consent for us to link everything in here. So there's a recording, a PDF of the slides from that. And then in August of 2024, there's some building the Reading Brain documentary with Dr. Duke and Dr. Torelli. So there's some documentation here that you might want to reflect on. And then the International Literacy Association has some resources that are linked here. So all of this is available for you as past learning to kind of get up to speed, but we will focus moving forward on the dyslexia handbook, and we will wait for guidance and how our teams are gonna move forward in the state. So that's a lot of information this morning. You've heard about the history of the network, our routines for gaining feedback, and how our task force is helping to drive the content of the network, and then the new assurances, the dyslexia work. So what we would like to do is, after sharing all of this with you, give you some time for application of learning. So we're asking you to get into breakout rooms, or if you're in a room already with colleagues, you're going to have some discussion and just talk about what you've heard so far this morning, the direction of the network, the changes in legislation. If you want to jot some things down on your own application of learning, sticky notes, notepad, whatever, but we are also going to make sure that Q&A and Slido is open the whole meeting. So if you're in your breakout room having a discussion and you come up with a question that you want to make sure we get back to at some point, go ahead and type that into the Slido Q&A. So Heather, do you think we're ready? Before we send them in there, we will say, we're going to give you a little bit of a break. It is 9:50 right now. So we'll have you go into your breakout rooms until 10 o'clock. So you'll have 10 minutes in your breakout rooms, and then we'll bring you back you'll have a 15-minute break, and we'll bring you back at 10:15. So 10-minute breakout room, 15-minute break.
Okay, and just so you know, some of you may get moved once you're in within the first couple of minutes, because we're just going to scan and make sure once everybody has their G in front of their name that you have enough people to have a quality, productive conversation and be able to network. So just know that if you're sitting in a room with two of you, you will be moved within a matter of a couple of minutes.